At first, I was like, when I got the question, it was like about healthy work environments, and like that was the general topic, and that was what was moving me at the time.
Got it.
Today, I woke up and I got like a different fuel, different fire, and the fire is about like, which always I feel like this is always the topic I want to talk about. It's just a first generation folk in navigating through the world.
Got it.
Yeah.
So we'll touch on everything.
Okay. Let's do it.
We'll rock out. And you go by any other alias or Herman is cool?
Herman.
Okay, cool. You ever
We can't call you H.
Or G.
You ever gone by like anyone's ever called you German by mistake? No, right? You can't fuck that up.
No. I used to go by German by like
What?
When people read my name when I was younger, that's what they prescribed to me. It wasn't until like I was trying to come to learn with my own identity. I was just like, you know what, like Herman is what they call me at home. Herman is like, why don't people call me that? And I thought it was a big shift. And so like at first it was kind of a thing of, I would do like my name is German, you can call me Herman if you can. And I would be I would be really apologetic.
I would have just gone with G.
I would be apologetic about it.
Get the fuck outta here.
And then it wasn't until I was doing a show, and it was like the only show. It was an Asian American show. Like everybody in the room was mostly Asian American.
Them niggas will speak Spanish.
Listen, a lot of cross culture. Yeah. And so I introduced myself that way, and then the one actor, like this fabulous gay man, was like, "Oh, honey, you're around people of color. It's Herman." And I was like,
Asian told you that.
From that day, I was like, you know what? I was like,
definitely Filipino.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There
Are Filipinos Asian? I don't even know.
No, there are cousins basically.
Okay.
I think. I mean,
hey yo,
Cool. How's your sound check?
I feel great. Yeah.
You feel great? Beautiful.
You sound great.
Thank you.
He's a sound dude.
he's a sound designer.
Sound designer.
I gotta sit in my lower register and the like really comfortable voice.
Man, this ain't no fucking NPR.
Today, La República Dominicana.
Have you ever come up here?
What?
You ever like been in this neighborhood?
I used to live on 179.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I tried to like it was like my first year. I was like, I want to know what it's like to live on my own because I was living with my grandparents, and so I was like, I want to be out. So I did a sublet out in 179, and I felt at home because it was just the same. Like, you know, in the Heights, it's just the same in Bergen Line and Jersey. So I felt so
Literally,
at home.
it's the same thing right across.
Truly the same exact. That's why I saw the block party. I was like, estoy en casa, and so
Yes.
and so like that made me feel comfortable. It was to me, honestly, it was the lack of space. I was like, I cannot stretch, and so I was like, I left.
It's wild how you cross from New York to New Jersey, like Washington Heights to Bergen, like he's saying, and you go in and be primo dime, like everybody has the same lingo, and you're like,
it is the same exact thing,
and you're like, okay, I'm home, I'm good.
Where I got the churros from, like the main street that it's on, it's called Bergen Line. It is just a bunch of Latino American businesses. Like truly,
Saint
it's
Nick.
all like Latino owned, Latino franchises. Like it is beautiful, and that's where I felt like comfortable. That's why I was like, oh, when I move out, I need that. Okay. But when I went to California, I was like, got me out in the Midwest. I just came back from Massachusetts. Yo, there's none of that. There's no bodegas out in Massachusetts.
Oh, no.
There's no. I was like.
No bodegas in Massachusetts.
But you're in Cali. There's a bunch of us Mexicans are out there.
Sure, not in the area I was in.
Oh.
There was where the fuck area was I in?
Well, number one, he went to the area where you guys are in the back of the fucking restaurant.
Yeah, I gathered as much. So the Tech Valley.
And mine was like, well, what was in California? I was in Calabasas.
Yeah. He's not in fucking Cholo country or some shit like that.
It was definitely not anywhere. I was like,
where were you?
PCPA. Where was PCPA? Near
San Diego.
No, not San Diego. It's
theater.
Geography.
San Diego, not San Diego.
The nice spot. Nigga, wherever there's theater is where's the nice shit. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Not all the time. Not all the time.
Man, tell me a theater in the hood.
United Palace.
Classical Theater of Harlem.
Classical Theater of Harlem. Yeah.
United Palace.
Classical. Where is that?
It's like on Amsterdam, no? And one.
They're based in Harlem. I went to go see their show in.
But what part of Harlem? Because now
125th.
It was like mornings. I'm 125th.
And there's another one too on the east side, which I saw. I saw in the Heights.
By the one train?
No. What's the one in the park? They have like a whole amphitheater.
Oh, it's by.
Oh, that park shit don't count.
No, there's a few. Ron, he's right. There's a few theaters because I went to see In the Heights, like another rendition of it, and it was in the east. It was on the east side. They had a theater there. It was like a full theater with seats.
I thought
and
he
everything.
started it in Harlem. Like,
did he?
No, he did Plátano con Man.
I don't know.
Plátano con.
Can you pass me my bag?
I forgot what the fuck was the other one.
Pass the bag?
He one of his original shows, like Plátano with something, but.
Oh, you look at your fancy Into the Woods bag.
I love
his first Broadway show.
Listen, I love a good merch. If there's anything, I would love to rep the shows that I'm on.
I think we're hitting solid topics. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run the intro real quick so we can actually just get into it.
We weren't recording this before. You were missing all this.
Oh no, I did record, but the thing is that I'll use this like as a little behind, and then jump into it. But yeah, no, I like the formalities of making everybody's intros and just jumping straight into it. Cool.
Santa Maria. That's what it was. Opportunity.
Santa Maria.
Blah, blah.
That's
Santa Maria.
Yes,
California.
Oh, in Santa Maria, California.
Words. Just words.
Ain't shit going on.
Nobody cares.
There's definitely no Mexicans.
That's why it's Santa Maria.
We're geographically speaking in Santa Maria, like on the upper part. Anyways, let's get started. What's going on, my peoples? Welcome to Just Words Nobody Cares. I've realized that throughout every episode we've had, I never intro myself. So I'm just going to say, this is your host, Ron Kane, on the ones and twos.
Give yourself a sound effect.
And I got to give myself, I guess, I'll just give myself the gunshots. Hey! Since I give everybody else the gunshots. But I normally do jump into my brother, my main man. If you don't know, you should have always known by now. My brother, Monsieur Los.
Hey, como ça va? Como ça va, crew? We here. Just words, nobody cares. Another Saturday, another episode.
We do it on Saturdays. The world doesn't know this shit because clearly I release everything on Dominican time, so it'll be like it's supposed to be on Tuesday. She'll be
So
like a Thursday.
expect us in a few days.
Yeah,
No, a few weeks.
A few weeks.
Months, 2 months.
2 months.
2 months.
That's more realistic.
Always like, all right, man. You know,
All right,
at this point, it is what it is.
This is a Christmas special coming in from
It's fucking hot as balls outside right now.
Oh my god.
It is 100 degrees.
the Christmas
but
special
this is the
now.
Christmas
Still on
special
Christmas.
today.
Oh my god.
And my man came in here and he said, I'm perspirating a lot. Or is that the word?
What did you say when you
I was like, I'm perspiring.
Perspiring.
There's just a lot of perspiration happening.
Perspiration.
But how is that possible during Christmas?
During Christmas.
global warming, which is very
Global
serious.
warming.
We're in DR right now. We're coming at you from DR.
It's funny talking about not funny talking about global warming. It's funny is that the Trey and whatever Matt from South Park, they regret one episode out of all their episodes, or they said one that aged poorly. And it had to do with them making fun at Al Gore over his film The Inconvenient Truth. And they were like, oh, we made too much fun of global warming.
Really?
And they were like, this is the one that aged the worst. I'm like, fuck.
Out of everything, that was the one they have regret over? I didn't know they could feel regret in the first place.
But they're $1 million richer. It doesn't matter. We got on deck my home girl, my baby girl, my love, my everything, and always blessed to be in your presence, the honorable, lovely Lady H. I was like, the super longest intro, and I need to get to who's our guest.
Oh, wait, I didn't say anything.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I was going to say that I'm excited for our guest today.
Oh,
I'm always excited for the
you want to
guest.
know what?
Yeah.
You want to intro
I'll
our guest?
introduce, yeah.
Right,
So, German is very...
Gotta lead up to the grand reveal.
My bad. First time in introducing someone formally. Okay, scratch that. So today we have on our show a very talented sound designer, and I'm thrilled that I could share this with him and he could share his voice with us. And I'd like to welcome to the show German.
Yeah.
Yurt.
You gotta hit him with a yurt.
Get him with a yurt. There are too many places where I show up and I'm like, can I get a yurt? And it's no one knows what I'm talking about. I'm like, yo, I'm
It's
definitely
because
not
you go
in
into
the environment I
theater
want to be.
rooms.
You can't be asking in Santa Maria out there. They're like, what is that?
I'm gonna tell you right now, nobody from the Bronx goes to theater, man.
We're trying to change it. We're trying to change that.
I mean, we're not from the Bronx. We say you're. So it is. Fun fact: I shared this with you the other day. Did you know this, Los? That even though the island of Manhattan cuts off on 218th Street on the north side, it is actually a man-made cutoff. That Manhattan used to go all the way up to 225th Street, and the excavation that happened on 218 was to make like travel for the boats and to bring in import and export goods a little faster for them to go from Hudson to Harlem River. But for some reason, they rather than using 225th, they broke it up into 218, and whatever they excavated, they filled in on 225th. So technically, Manhattan goes up all the way to 225th.
Did not know that.
Damn, so the island got circumcised?
Yes.
Shit.
Yes.
It got the Hebrew love on it.
Checks
You know
out.
what? I'll put in a
Sensitive.
little clip, but I don't know who decided to do this. But
Yeah, let's find out.
Yeah.
now I'm like, well, no, maybe I don't know.
Makes
This is where
sense.
fucking fake news starts.
Well, you know now that they're starting to put So we were at the New York Dose podcast, and now they're doing those. What do you call it? The boats.
we went to Brooklyn. And
To Brooklyn, but they had
The ferries?
the ferries, and the ferries now they're gonna start putting in from here, Washington Heights, and
Which
they're
I
gonna
think is
stop.
great. It's going to be a great way
That'd
to
be
get
really
downtown.
really good because we can't. I mean, our highways is jammed, trains is crazy, and it'll be nice to travel through ferry.
Yo,
That's
the
the best way to travel here.
like the transportation is so like intentional of like where people can go at a certain like the fact that I can't like just go on any line to like get anywhere is like somebody really thought about this in advance and be like, yo, this certain group of people ain't going nowhere, this certain group of people. So like the fact that that is the motive to happen, like I love that. Like, come on, ferries.
dropping bombs.
wait, and I can drop some gems. Let me warm
Gems,
up.
that's
I don't see
Gems.
why we're not more like Seattle, like Oregon, and those places out there where they do use ferry a lot. We should be able to do the same thing because we have a great river. I mean, the Hudson
Oh, listen,
River.
the bike lane is a lie. So, like, transportation really, like, the bike lane is a lie, and, like, people will take advantage of that. It doesn't matter for people. Unless I'm going to use whatever means necessary to go wherever it is I can go. But, and sort of, like, a big bike city, I wish. Or, like, even a ferry. The fact that this ferry can come, like, between us, again, I'm from Jersey. The fact that I can come only to 42nd Street, the ferry doesn't take me, like, any further higher. I'm like, why? Like,
I mean, our waterway is untapped
The
here.
people from Jersey don't want to come up here.
I like it. I want to come in and get my little fix, my New York fix.
Do you think? Do you think that they don't have it uptown because people are like traumatized from taking like Yola to Cao here? They're like, nah, I'm not taking this. They're like, you know what? I'm not gonna do this again. I already did that one time getting on here. I'm not taking a ferry.
For the listeners that don't know what Yola is what Elian Gonzalez made it to all the way from Cuba to Miami. It's a motherfucking tire, a floating tire that just happens to go wherever. And you get there and you pray and hope that a nice, polite American will welcome you into this country. Besides that being a fact, my bad, I didn't mean to say it like
Being a
that.
fact.
Being a point. My brother, you came through and we've crossed paths before. However,
Yeah.
I've seen your work, I've heard your work, and I've never been privy to, I guess, what I would deem educational, or like just shit of culture. Is that what it's called, culture? I mean, what do you guys consider yourselves in what you do? Matter of fact, how did you get into what you're doing and go in that direction, that trajectory? Because people of color that sound design typically are called beat makers. No, I'm sorry. My bad. That was my form of it. I was like, I'm gonna be a producer. That look how far that shit got me.
No, you're absolutely
But you're really a DJ.
DJ, but yeah, now motherfuckers just
a
touch
glorified.
your pad.
I'm just a glorified aux control person.
I hate when people say, "Yeah, where's the aux cable?" I'm like, "What?
aux?
Fuck you." Aux is the worst. No, I'm sorry.
None of your music. I mean, first generation's kid, and I was the one. Okay, to put in perspective, I was the kid who like. I think I earned some like lawyer points, or like I have a doctorate degree like at age 7 because I was translating all those tax documents to my parents. I was the one.
Sounds about right.
I was the one having to like know all of when they had to show up to their medical appointments. Like
shout out to all the kids that took care of the Medicaid.
All that shit. I was the one having to do that. So like,
where are you from?
My family's from Honduras, from Honduras and Mexico, and so I was the one having to like translate all that shit. And when I want to say like yo no sé, like pues para qué ibas a la escuela? I'm like,
if you say you don't, yo no sé, it's a guaranteed cocotazo. That's what it's a what the fuck did you go to school for? What are you doing with your life, nigga? You 7.
I just want to watch SpongeBob. I mean, so that's how I grew up, and I was always like the one between that, any like information that was privy to like my parents, and mostly like technology. So like I was always I was the one who set up the router. I was the one to like have to like put. Honestly, I was the one. I was the one to have to like convince my parents, like mostly my dad, to be like, we need a computer, like, and to have the awkward conversation of like again a 10-year-old to like your father be like,
you gotta justify and find reasons as to why we need this brand new piece of machinery and technology
like, that we didn't need before.
Honestly, we didn't need it before.
So we've been fine.
We need to send emails to who?
To who? ¿Qué? ¿Va a ser qué? ¿Con quién voy a hablar? And now,
Le
like,
puedo marcar si quiero.
Yeah. But I've always been that kid to work with technology, and so it feels like second brain, and like I'm sure like everybody, or all those kids also feel like their parents look at them like geniuses because they're like, oh, you just fix everything. Meanwhile, you just switch the HDMI file or the HDMI output on the TV, and your mom looks at you like, oh my god, you're genius, rocket science.
Tú no genio, mi hijo.
That you could do anything. And so thinking about it through that perspective, like now, right?
The thing is that motherfuckers will hit you with the Dios te bendició.
Oh my god, you help out an old lady out, like
Que Dios te bendiga, mi hijo.
you get the best. That is the badge of honor. Okay,
of course.
that is your day blessed. You nothing bad can happen to you.
That shit is so
Para
real.
tenerte la viejita on your side, like the little
It's
guardian
true.
angel.
You can do anything
with her approval.
You can do anything, literally. With my abuelita's blessing and approval, which happens each time I talk to her on the phone, I feel like I'm on top of the world.
Yes.
Which Ron's going to meet her next week, so I'm really excited.
I've made it to that level now.
She's going to love you.
Yeah,
She's going to give you so many bendiciones, mi amor.
Thing is that you'll point out simple shit. Mama, this is on HDMI 1. It should be on HDMI 3. ¿Y por qué? Está bien, nada más arreglártelo. Let me just put it HDMI 1. Y ya. ¡Ay, pero mira!
¡Qué inteligente! Like,
¡Tú sí sabes!
Tú sí sabes, wow. And like just a mystified aspect to it.
Magic. Wizardry. Yeah.
And so I grew up being that kid. And so to think about like what I do now, honestly, I think of it no different. Of like I still am doing that now with like bigger, more expensive gear and like with the added fact of like
getting paid.
It has to be getting paid. Yes, I get paid to do this, and the added benefit of
but you're not getting no bendiciones.
No bendiciones from these people. No bendiciones
I get a
from
thank
them.
you and a handshake.
Sometimes a hug if it goes really well.
A hug if it's like really life saving.
And then they're like, "Why is your rate so high?" Fuck you.
Or you have to like end up having to justify. It was like, actually, my rate is this high because things are exploding.
Not to throw you off topic, but it's funny because and I do want to point this out to all of our brothers and sisters and all of everybody, that when it comes to finding our value in what we do, because yes, we do always, I feel we always have to justify our position, our rate, and whatever. There is a story, maybe this is fucking fake news, I don't know, of a dude that there was a ship that got fucked up.
Oh yeah.
And he went throughout the whole ship and with a hammer tapping away a lo que sea. and he fixed it. And he charged like $50,000 or some dumb shit. Don't hold me to it, but and the guy that hired him to fix it was like, "Yo, but all you did was bang around with the hammer." And he was like, "Nah, I knew where to bang with the hammer. Otherwise, you haven't have hired me. I cost $50,000. So shout out to these people that know the value, but we also need to find our voice, because I know how tough it is when we feel dispensable, and it's kind of whack to see, like, damn, if I go too high, they might find somebody else, and if I go too low, I kind of undercut myself. And so we need to feel justified to find a happy medium. That's not, so I don't want to cut you off on that, but
no,
it's
it's the same conversation of like all the artisans that work in our industry, of all the people having to like fight for, like, no, this person is worth X amount of money because they will do good work, like they are worth this price. And it's a conversation that will never like go away, no matter. And I want to say in any industry, just because pay me what the fuck I'm worth. And people are just like nervous about that.
I think, but I do think it's tougher for us because, number one, since we're here for the first go around, this is our first go around. We don't know what is the exact value, because we're learning as we're going too. And if we're learning as we're going, but we kind of have this instinctually, so we do it better. I mean, maybe I'm talking too much shit, but it's one of those things where you then feel like, oh, it's a privilege for them to even allow me into the room.
Well, we get
Has anybody
compliant.
felt
We get
it?
compliant where we go with the rate.
Not
And-
privilege.
A privilege for them, or for like my feeling. I've been fighting, feeling like they've given me such an honor to come in.
Yeah,
like,
but that's what I meant by privilege. Like,
yeah,
honor,
yeah. Like
It's
where
like-
it should be like, no, you're lucky to have me.
That's exactly what it
Well,
should
that's
be.
that's the way it should be. That's the
Yeah.
way it ought to be. That they say, you know what, your talent, you're a plus to us, and we're better with you. Being here.
But when you go home and you got the doñita that tells you, "Mira, no pierdas ese trabajito."
No,
que te están
you're
tratando
fighting
bien."
against that. No, for real, you fight against that. A lifetime of like, don't cause too much ruckus, because if not, they'll kick you out,
You're
or you won't have a
expendable,
job.
yeah.
Yeah, you're expendable. So it's
Mira.
been a lifetime of fighting that.
Anytime a conversation
It's
starts
also
with
like
a
the
"Mira,"
colonized, it's also the colonization aspect of it, of like, do exactly what's asked of you. Don't like cause any like ruckus. Don't like, just do what you got to do, and be polite about it.
Yeah,
Well,
you keep your head down.
well,
Yeah.
I've been.
I mean, there are ways to go
trying to keep
about
my
it.
head
I mean,
up.
we don't have to cause a ruckus or ruffle any feathers. I mean, if you go in
Ruffle
there,
any feathers.
if you go
You've
in
been
there,
in the establishment. I'm just
well,
like,
because I'm going to that something right now, similar, which I have a few meetings lined up in the next couple of weeks where, I'm putting them in a tough spot. Like, listen, I want to get paid
the tough spot is asking for what you deserve.
what I deserve. I said, listen, I know what I'm worth,
No, it's hard, and people like cannot.
but I won't be
Fathom that,
disrespectful.
yeah.
I'm not gonna put them.
No,
I'm not gonna be on
course
that point and be
not.
like, give me this or else.
No,
No, I'm
No,
not
because-
disrespectful to anyone.
Yeah.
no. I mean, you still got to be up on an awareness level. I'm not gonna say educated or formally educated, but on an awareness level of how to appropriately communicate.
Absolutely.
But the reality is that if we're first generation, we just kind of fucking learn the language.
For real, it is. We have a steeper learning curve than our peers.
Yep.
Very steep learning curve.
So to go back to it, my bad, and I know I went so sidetracked because this is just what
No,
nobody
this
cares.
is all in the same vein of like conversation of like having to figure it out and like learning how it is to do in any industry, and specifically in ours of theater. But like, how do I navigate through this life as a first generation person when nobody has told me how to do that? There is no. I'm not sure about y'all, but like in my experience, there is no example of this. There is no. I've gotten examples of don't be like Tio Alejandro, fucking
That nigga's a crackhead.
being borracho, un borracho, yeah.
Borracho,
I have
yeah,
a
my
bunch.
bad.
I have a bunch of bad examples in my life, but who's a good example to be like?
And the arts at that.
and in
which
the
is
arts.
we work in a very white environment.
Number one,
White.
I was recently reminded that unless you're getting paid, it's a hobby. So the arts, for the most part, if you're
Who reminded you?
No.
I was like, I'm gonna be upset.
Siri, remind me to.
The same person that fucking sponsored a very significant donation
Okay.
to the Help a Brother Out Foundation.
Okay. All right.
HBO Foundation. So, but he was like, all right, yo, we got to get you further. So shout out to that brother too.
Yeah. Thank you.
And so he chooses to remain anonymous, but he'll be producing. And anyway, but it goes, to that point that it's tough to go into the arts, and so to navigate to even just the working class or getting paid class, it's something to be said. I find admiration in it when I do come across, now that I have come across people of color that are within the arts world, but in reputable positions, because before it's just a stagehand,
If that.
a PA or something,
Right.
Which
right.
are also
is
reputable positions.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. My bad. But okay, more established. Is that
Yeah.
better? My bad. So it's within that respect. And you guys,
Like a position of leadership.
yes,
Yeah.
voice, be heard, and seeing y'all rock. When I see a whole fucking production come through, I'm like, coño, mira, it's beyond impressive. I mean, the last show before meeting y'all probably saw was like Macbeth or some dumb shit. I don't know. So I've been also exposed to it, and so to know that you guys are at the back end of the creative side and the execution side, I think is very admirable. So
Thank you.
Thank you. It's a lot of work that goes into it, and you see it firsthand now. But
as we were discussing, what were I was just giving you
Being
props.
first generation,
Yes.
navigating through the world, and when in any industry, specifically, I mean, for
In the
us,
arts.
it's in the arts.
and asking for what you deserve. Just the right fucking pay, man. Like, it sucks to know that somebody else is getting paid that does less than what you do,
so infuriating.
or can execute less than what you can, and then motherfuckers getting 2-3 times. I mean,
It's infuriating.
It still happens.
And then the worst part about it is like you don't want to, like you said, cause a ruckus and make things difficult, because your reputation is what takes you to the next job, and you don't want to burn that bridge. I mean, I'm assuming, because I don't know how it works. Do you guys work
say,
like
you say? Like, I don't want to burn a bridge, but like, to me, I'll let the bridges I burn light the way, because I want to be.
love
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
I just want to be.
Coño.
I want to be.
that.
I told you I'm gonna hit you with the gems.
Coño.
But like, I want to be around the right people,
Yes.
not just anybody who I think is gonna like be benefit for me. There's some people who I don't care of if I won't ever work with them again.
Right.
It is to my benefit. You know what? I don't want anybody to be a headache. And it'll lead me to the right folk. But it does take a little bit of like ruffling the feathers of like just like straight up asking, pay me more. And some people are just this is me being nice about it. Some people just straight up don't know. I'm gonna be like, there are some institutions who straight up don't know and are like, like our bad, or just like straight up like we didn't know to give you more, or like what it actually took to do X job. And so I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to those people. Other people are just like, this is what we have to work with and make it work. So it's either this or nothing.
and then you decide if you want to take the project or not,
Exactly.
or if you want to be part of it, or
And then it comes down to like the 3 reasons why you take a job. And so it's
People?
either the people that you like to work with will essentially like fuel the art. It's a favor to someone, or it'll advance you to
something greater.
To something greater. So it's
So
always like a flux of like those 3
so
like power.
exposure, pay, good vibes, good energy.
Yeah.
And
I have 3. Mine are simple. It's time, or what is it? Pay. What's the pay? Is it good? People, and that falls in line with like who I want to work with and networking, and then what is the project? Do I like the project? Does it speak to what I want to do?
does everybody have their own 3? I thought it was about to be a universal 3. My bad.
I thought. I mean, they're kind of the same.
Yeah.
And I have to. For me, when I choose something, 2 of those 3 things need to be met. If it's any less, I don't take it. If it's any more, it's great. Perfect project.
Interesting.
It's same thing for me. I have to, in the same vein of like, is this gonna be a headache for me? And I know that sounds like a weird one of those 3, but like I want to be happy with the things I do. We spend so much time doing the work that like, come on, if I can't be able to like eat with the people that I'm working with or be happy with them, then I don't want to be in that room.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of giving myself autonomy about the work that I do. Of okay, I have the power to choose of this is what I'm going to put my energy into, rather than I'm just going to do it because I have to. You know.
Well, you know what's wild that I like watching you guys work is how fast of a turnaround is required of you
That's
guys.
wild.
It's fucking unbelievable. I mean,
Yeah.
we're talking about full blown production shows with a lot of shit happening, and they can make it happen in 3 weeks or 2
Well, that's
weeks.
your threes are more. That's why it's so important, I think, because working with people that you like, it's even more crucial than even the money at some point, because you have to spend all that time with this crew, and you're like, if you dislike someone or you're having issues, how can you work?
That's
in that
gonna be a
environment?
long 3
That's gonna be a
weeks.
long turnaround.
What's been your worst experience, and then I will ask you what's been your best experience, because like that. I do want to get both extremes, but I like getting the bad out the way first.
Right.
Do you
Good call.
want to lead this one?
Oh, I thought this was for you.
No, this is all you.
it's for me.
brother.
Oh
Yeah.
shit!
Yeah.
You're the special guest.
Hi. You're for me the worst. Puta madre.
I feel like I'm in Queens every time you say that shit. Fucking mad.
You don't have to say what show it is.
No, I'm more so like trying to dissect what about it was like awful, because there's some things that just straight up there are people who I just weren't pleasant to work with, or there were things that I was working too long of an hours and weren't paid too much, or rather wasn't getting
number
paid.
one, let's establish this shit. There's a set fucking fee. The hours don't matter. So if you think you're getting paid overtime, forget that noise. Don't even jump. Don't even come in on the side.
Wait, so you guys don't pay overtime?
Get overtime.
It's
than
a
the hour.
fee.
It's a fee base.
We get a fee.
No matter the time you put in.
And that's why
It's
it's like thinking about, okay, I'm just gonna say like
The ice cream is hitting me.
the
The
ice
ice cream would be good
cream
right now.
an arbitrary, like what, 20 is 2,500 like I think normal for.
Depends what the show is.
Okay, fair. I would say like 1,500 for like a project that's got like a rather like let's say like 2-person cast, small like 100-seat theater.
Yeah, I don't know. Our rates aren't the same sometimes.
You're right.
Yeah,
So
so
it's
it's hard to
hard to-
speak
yeah.
on that. And
Because
You guys should
yeah.
try to create a universal rate understanding.
there is one
there is-
actually.
do you guys have a
there's
union?
yeah, there
they're
is a union.
separate unions for like all, but like under there are unions for like people who like work crew, and then like designers who are USA 829. But there is a standard.
What do they call it? Fair world, right? But then all the designers get paid the same. But sometimes that's not fair because sometimes costumes department puts in the most time. And we if we get paid the same rate, like I see that rate and I'm like, okay, but
As a dude that just laid down some leaves. No, I'm sorry.
so we're there from
Talking about set designers, they ain't doing shit. No,
yeah, no, their work, set designers, their work is at the front because they
Like,
design it,
super in advance,
and they give it to the shop and they oversee it, and then they're done. They can just sit back and tell you. They just have to show up.
So is it advantage? I mean, to work at a union, or is it better off to be off the union, where you can be more flexible with your rate?
I'm actually looking to go union this fall. So right now I waited for a long time because I didn't know that answer to that question. I was like, is it worth it for me? So I gave myself time to figure out exactly how they're going to help and when is it going to be beneficial for me. Now, after working on a very terrible show in the summer, I'm like, it's time.
Which we talked about how difficult that was.
It's time. Yeah. So it's time for that.
Yeah.
But anyways.
No, like the union aspect for me is it's healthcare and having a pension, and for me that's what it boils down to.
Security and somebody having your back.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah, it is that.
We are all essentially freelancers, and so it's hard. Like anyone can be a freelancer, and so how are these unions protecting the people who do the work right and are essentially? I think of it as like a vouch of this person can do the work, they're capable of doing it, like pay them. Hey, hydrate or hydrate.
Mad loud with this fucking water.
Thank you.
I will say, if we were like on a
My apologies.
if this were a radio show, it just sound like somebody went and took a little leak.
You put the little picture of Calvin and Hobbes taking, or what is it, Calvin from Calvin and Hobbes taking leak? The little boy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll eliminate the little boy.
I think,
part.
but I think we went on a 10, which is great. But as far as where did we go?
Oh, your best show and your worst show.
Oh,
Or your
my
worst
best-
show
best-
and then your best show.
Like I'm still
My
waiting
worst.
for the
Oh,
answer.
my worst.
If you don't have a worst, you could do with the best.
Okay, the worst I will say, I think it was a project that I was doing with these people who like creatively. I'm not sure if y'all have been in this position where people have like, when I say like a creative baby, like it is their idea. There is no negotiating. There's no like collaborating. It is that way or the highway. And so I was working with these people who had a creative baby. And I came in and I took the job from. No, I took it from. Excuse me. I was
Another Honduran that was asking for more.
Vinieron aquí y me quitaron el trabajo. No, I was.
How dare he?
I inherited this
You
job from
undercut
somebody.
him.
I inherited this job from somebody who could no longer do it, and so it went to me. And I took this job, and as I always do with the best intentions, I lead with collaborative process, and it evolved to a thing where I was like, nothing that I had to say regarding how sound can contribute to what was going on was going to matter, because they had
The final word.
set,
and
they
everything.
had their set like what the final image was supposed to be, and I was truly there just to be like the person to execute the thing, as opposed to be a collaborator.
Very, very, very strong point.
Yeah. So that
A worker or a collaborator?
so I really resented that process, because I went in and I was like, all right, let's do it. Like I had my doubts, because the story was a little, sometimes, and I feel like you've had this experience of, you read it, you go, is this gonna be good? Is it like gonna be worth it? And you have those doubts, maybe even up until like the first day of tech or whatever, and you're like, no, actually, this is pretty nice. I had my doubts, script wise, whatever. I went in and with the best of intentions still, and it was not anything collaborative. It was just like, just do this for me, and I was looked at somebody as just to do, as opposed to have a conversation with how is sound interacting, what do we do, and a lot of expectations. So that made that process the worst, because I resented the creative people that were in charge of that. The institution protected me a lot, and they were on my side about that, but they really like turned into different people from like Zooms to like actual in practice. They were nice up front. They were nice to me. They were like, all smiles and like, we're gonna do this, and then it was not that when things hit the fan, essentially.
You know what's very interesting and wild in regards to human psychology, right? And from the outside, not even in, not looking in, but from the outside, this is supposed to be theater. It's the name of it is plays. You think that psychologically speaking, you would be playing, and yo, the people that I've come across on the production end are very on the opposite end of the spectrum of a joyful and welcoming environment. It's all the much more creative protection and trying to make sure that it's their vision that gets followed through with, and to kind of eliminate or eradicate outside opinion until it goes completely fucking AWOL. And then they're like, yo, whatever you guys suggest. And then they'll take all the fucking credit when everybody else suggests that things go well. And so that in itself is pretty interesting, psychologically speaking.
It was a little bit of that
And the egos, man. Oh, fuck.
But listen,
The
your
ego
ego
is what
is
kills the whole
your
thing.
ego is not your amigo, and like it's true.
I love that.
Boom.
Dropping another
Ego's not
gem.
your amigo.
It,
It's trying to
it does not
Ego is
benefit
not
you
your
in
amigo.
any aspect. Like, just get out of the way. And so it's the thing of, there are no babies with me with theater, and I always say that when I work with folks, because it can be very protective time and very vulnerable time of like, you as the director are essentially putting this out there, and you don't want any to be like, that shit was trash. Like you don't want that response. You always want to lead with your best foot forward. But that doesn't happen if you don't let the folks in. Everybody there on that process was there to give their best, and they did. But I wasn't the only one to have felt exhausted, resentful, unappreciative, unappreciated, and we were all ready to dip the second that shit finished. And so that was my worst. As far as my best and favorite, honestly, I have to think like The Hombres is one of them.
That was a really great process. I loved it.
And I will say that it wasn't a perfect process because shit happened within like there was emergencies that happened. We had to kind of
Let me just give our maybe 5 listeners a little bit of context of this place.
We have more now.
Yes, we are.
Y'all will know.
It's a play.
I'm the 7th listener, by the way.
It's a play that is in Texas, like the space, right? Is in
Texas?
Was it Texas?
No, you're confusing the one at the alley.
Oh wait, no, my bad.
That was another Latino show.
Yeah. So this is about.
I love that. Hold on.
Wait.
Can we give a moment just to have? Yes, the other Latino show.
Yes, there's like 2. Namaste.
I was the only Latino on the creative team, besides the director for that show.
Where are they in Los Hombres?
New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Is it New Jersey?
Yeah, it's like the
All right.
town that the show was at.
So it's a yoga studio and a construction site, right? Mm-hmm. It's not. And so at the construction site, who you got working there? A bunch of Mexicans, right? And this is not like in derogatory way. This is the fucking facts. And so when you got the construction workers across the street from a yoga studio, the curiosity, the interest peaks, but just overall the ideology of wellness within Latino communities and households is fucking obsolete. Like, people do not know how to cope. We've been taught to not speak. We don't know how to speak. We don't know the language. We don't know how to communicate. We don't know how to build. So even less we know how to fucking stretch.
Breathe.
Dudes just allow it. They're carrying beams of steel and they don't even know. They're cool with letting
it's a toxic male like environment inherently.
You're carrying 300 pounds a day and you're cool with not even stretching your body or like giving some sort of therapy to yourself. And then when people do introduce self-discovery on how to cope and how to be, things can work out, or you can allow yourself or you can deny yourself those aspects of life. So in this particular play, they found a happy medium. Dude was like, I'll clean the studio for free if you let me rock in here and work, and learn for free. Long story short, the show was really fire. I like going to these shows. I enjoy them. The social dynamic is always very at question.
Yes, all the
because I feel like our people in the real world, the niggas that do that type of job, would never even know that those type of shows exist.
What was wild working on that show and being in that town at the time was I would walk past those people, being the characters, the construction workers, looking for work, literally 1 block away from the theater on my way to the housing. Every day I would see them like, this is, what are we doing?
Yeah. Because we're not even allowed that space to acknowledge the fact that, number one, we can do art. And so that, which allows me to circle back to the original question of your segue, because we did, and I still want to talk about
absolutely
this, but the segue of you being a first generation American to your family and being introduced to this opportunity and actually following through with it, because yes, you can change the HDMI cable. Yes, you can fucking make a grandma happy so she can watch her novelas. And yes, you can make sure that, the parents get their Medicaid fucking appointments. And yes, you can translate from from English to Spanish and Spanish to English, all at the age of motherfucking 7.
Yes.
And you now got to do something that you actually wanted to do. or you fell in love with. Share with me your blueprint of actually how you executed that.
Ooh, blueprint. I don't think that there's a right blueprint. At least like how I came in to do
Yeah, no,
it.
my
blue. Oh,
yeah,
how I,
my
okay,
bad.
okay.
Share with me your blueprint.
Sorry, I thought it was me trying to share like the
Nah.
how it's to everybody to know.
It's fucking arts, man. There's no right or wrong.
Everyone's
way.
gonna find their way in.
Yeah.
And so like my way in truly was like I needed an escape. Like I mean like most troubled young folk, I needed to fucking do something creative. I had moved into like a new school after my grandmother finally got custody of me, and so I needed something to do. I always wanted to like. I was always a rather creative kid, but I never had an outlet.
Grandma
to
getting
do that.
custody of you, man. She was loving you by changing those cables. No, just
She said, "I need this every day. I need him in the
fucking
house."
gremlins. What do you call gremlins in Spanish?
Mocoso, like,
Mocoso.
The one, lo duende. Duende.
duende.
Duende? Is that?
The ones that keep changing the cables and moving the shit around the
Oh,
house.
I didn't know that was the translation.
I forgot about those.
Yeah, remember?
Yeah.
It's like those are the gremlins in
The ones who are
Spanish.
fucking around.
Dun,
but-
dun, dun,
like-
dun, 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 dun.
So bad, didn't mean to.
No, it's I needed a creative outlet, and my first year was also my high school teacher's first year teaching, and I think that we have, and I'm still very close with him now, but like I think that like put us into the same perspective. But he introduced me to like theater. I've always been interested, but I never knew like how the fuck do I do this. So like I remember like working backstage, and at the end of like each show they take us out to like go see a Broadway show. This one wasn't specifically a Broadway show, but it was like just a show, and the show had like spectacle to the wazoo. I mean, like you walked
Wazoo.
like wazoo like you walked into this building. Do you know the Darryl Roth? Mm-mm. It's on 14th Street. So it's the Darryl Roth Theater on 14th Street in front of is it Washington? No, that's something else.
Washington Square Park.
Is that 14th Street?
Yeah.
Yes. So there's a theater there. I think it used to be like a former bank, but they've gutted this place. It's a theater now. So they have this. It's a spectacle, and it wasn't like a traditional theater. Like, and you sit down. You went and you experienced this thing. So you went in, and they have these dancers like on the sky, and they like have them. They would run around, like the room, and they would like bring out this like background that they would like a mylar almost that they would like run around on. Truly just a light sound show spectacle. At the end it would like rain on the audience. It was like
Wow.
it was a dance party. Again, I've never seen the show is called Fuerza Bruta. So again,
Fuerza Bruta. Yeah, I see that. That's a good show. I seen that show.
I've never seen it, but I
Yeah.
remember seeing it on the
is
train,
a
the advertisement.
spectacle.
Yeah.
And like if you haven't like look up a video, like it is insane. So I didn't know that you could do theater like that. Like I was like,
Oh, so that's considered theater.
yes.
Got it.
And I was like, so you're like, that's theater?
Yeah.
But I was like, yo, that's fucking cool. I was like, yo, this is some crazy. I've never seen anything like that. So that like sparked the brain, and then
Got it.
we saw like a Broadway show, and what did we see? I think it was like Jersey Boys or something. We did like West Side Story. I was like an actor in it, and then we went to go see Jersey Boys once it finished. But that was like kind of the relationship of like being in theater in high school, and I didn't want to let it go. I didn't know, like I was like, I need to do this. I want to do this so badly, and so I was like, I'm not gonna make it as an actor. I was like, I don't think I was just very realistic with myself at that point. I was like, I don't think I can do that. And then I was like, fuck, okay, what else can I do? I was like, I'm pretty organized, so I thought I was gonna be a stage manager, and come to find out,
See that?
Yeah.
In another life.
right?
Yeah.
And so I went to school. I took a gap year, and then I took a gap year. I went to community
Gap
college.
year for our listeners. You gotta understand, our listeners are from the hood. So gap
Hey.
year for our listeners is
I graduated, and I didn't go to college.
you just find
was
yourself.
high-
I'm
yeah.
gonna call it a purpose, a point in your life of self reinvention and discovery.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But Abuelita calls that the vago years.
Yeah.
very important.
Tú eres un vago. Ponte a trabajar.
Algo con tu vida, coño.
Estás en casa rascándote las bolas, no haciendo nada.
Vago el diablo. Get to work.
Fuck those abuelitos.
And then you get the story like,
No te
yo
van
a
a
tu
dar las
edad estaba
bendiciones.
limpiando casas y estaba fucking-"
Ya tenía 3 hijos.
Oh my
a tu
God.
edad.
Oh my god. No,
Y tú
man.
aquí haciendo nada.
No, I'm
malcriado.
sorry. They
No, bro.
they irk me. I will put it out there. You know what? It ain't even bad.
And the worst part is when
You'll love my
they
abuelita.
compare you to the vecina's son who went straight to college.
Yo,
And when,
you still got a thing for that.
oh, dude, I'm tight about the whole shit. I'm still tight about it 20 something years later.
That shit is scarring, bro.
She had
It
their
scarred me
report
for
card.
life.
She had their report card hung up on the refrigerator.
Oh my God.
And the worst part about it is the person who they compare you to, like the dude got locked up.
I was gonna say how they're doing
And
now.
I'm the one who's succeeding, but I'm still the one,
from
the
Honduras.
lazy
He didn't-
guy.
he didn't
You just have to give it time. It takes time. We all have to madurar, and it just takes time. We do. We do.
It does take time. I will share that something beautiful happened this year with my mother. I fought against her having a career in the arts for a long time, and she always pushed me to have a sensible career. And this year, she gave me like her full blessing, and she basically told me she believed in me and to keep at it. And I was like, I was floored.
What a beautiful breakthrough moment.
It was beautiful.
I'm so happy you
Truly
had that.
floored. I was like, wait, what?
Number one, what people need to understand is that in a Latino household, there is never satisfaction.
No, I'm still not a professional. I don't have a career.
Tú no haces nada.
Yo no hago
Tú no
nada.
haces nada con tu vida. But so for
Qué pena.
your mother
Yeah.
to tell you that she is happy with what you're doing,
No, she
I
believes
mean,
in
that's
me.
big.
breakthrough
That's
moment.
huge.
That was,
man.
It was huge.
It's huge.
It was a lifetime of her being like, why don't you study engineering? Why don't you be a doctor? Tienes que hacer dinero. ¿Quién te va a cuidar? It was always that. And this, I mean, granted, after I went to Yale, she like didn't say anything else about that. But it wasn't until this year that she verbally expressed that you need to keep doing what you're doing.
yeah, she went to
Follow
Yale,
your passion and
and it was still not enough.
Oh my god. But it's
That's when
those
it just
markers.
stopped. She didn't say anything. She just kept quiet.
It's those markers of having to like help our parents identify like, no, this is a real thing. Like just as much of like to be a businessman, a business person, to be, you know,
A
on Wall
fucking
Street,
factory worker.
like to be that, like it takes hustle. It's just as much. And so I'm so glad that you had that.
And
It
I
is a
don't, I
big
don't know your
breakthrough.
mom, but it probably took a lot for her to say that to you
Yeah.
because even when you went to Yale, she probably in her mind saying, "Fuck, I'm wrong."
Papa,
I was wrong.
It's a
That could be that,
concession.
yeah.
It's not. It's a concession. It is not a congratulation. I'm not talking about your moms. I'm not talking about your mom.
But to give context of how it was brought up, I am going to start teaching at a big university in about a month.
That's right.
And I was going back and forth about stepping away from it because it was going to take away time and from me being here and continuing what I'm doing. And I talked to my mom about it, and she told me, completely uninstigated, you should think about not taking that university job so you can focus on your career. She told me that. She told me to leave the stable university job for that. I'm going to go teach in the fall because then the person who hired me freaked out. And I was like, I couldn't do that to my mentor. So I am going to teach, and I'm very excited about it. But it was huge for my mom to share that.
But the win is that she called your passion a career.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah,
listen.
yeah.
And for old school parents, Latino parents, that's hard. It's tough. It's tough for them
It
to
is.
really acknowledge and say, in their head, they're saying, I was wrong. And they've been eating those words for years. She's been eating those.
My mom has had a huge growth in the last decade. She's grown a lot, and I think her mind's been expanded quite a bit, and she's more open to things.
Even adultos pueden madurar.
Yeah, no, she's always growing.
La doña maduró, la doña.
La doña.
So weird to call her doña because I still see her like.
I can't wait to be
Youngish.
a don.
I mean, she's
Listen,
the oldest. She
I
has to be la
cannot
doña.
wait.
Yeah, no, my abuelita's a doña. So,
That's true.
yeah.
No, she's not
But,
a
I mean,
niña. What is your grandmother's name?
Abuelita Emma.
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 They don't call her Niña Emma. No.
No. I just call her abuelita.
It's at least for Central America to say like a niña, like to somebody like older, so it'll be like niño ron, or like
Oh, I didn't know that.
la niña Aide.
No, we call him tío Ron.
Fuck you.
El tío.
Yeah, just another like term of endearment for.
I
like,
call my
yeah.
grandmother mama.
Mamá.
Yeah.
Claro, veo como
Mamá.
mamá.
Así,
Yeah.
yeah.
I might come ma.
No, porque mami,
Mamá,
mami,
ma.
mamá.
But yeah, because you're the child, of course.
I mean, that's close from when I was a kid. Ma, dame $1. Ahí viene la barquilla, dame $1. Viene
The ice cream truck, the
ice cream truck.
Yeah, but to bring it back 360, it's just that I'm pretty sure my pop's dying words were algo con tu vida. The nigga was dying, and he was like, algo con tu vida. You know?
And when your father didn't understand and acknowledge it back, I mean, even I used to live above, but he was a genius on the mixer.
Yes,
You know, he was super smart. I mean, Ron, I used to hear the beats, and I was like, I used to sit up there and I just listen to the beats, and I'm like, he's on to something.
Yo.
He's on to something. I can hear it, and even though it didn't translate to anything obviously musical, but obviously his talent's what he does now.
Right.
It's almost in that same arts and culture where it's coming into now, because he's always been talented to a certain degree. I mean,
my curiosity always when it comes to actually seeing people execute and perform in the arts is that how they did it. I know the reason I stopped on many occasions have always been due to the fact that I was told, busca un trabajo, look for a job, do something. Nobody told me find your passion. Nobody told me find your career. Nobody told me find your purpose. And so when I see other brothers and other sisters and other everybody's just fucking doing that, I'm like, pero y cómo?
I mean, we are conditioned to like. I can only speak from like my parents' experience, like my grandparents, of like coming here to be able to provide, to like be able to exist and not have to worry. Like honestly, to like put it in the fact of like I will exist here and not have to worry about like my finances and just do the thing of like the simple thing that I can do is and ask my child to do the same. And so how do you ask of your child when the only things that you know that will be a career or something that will provide is like a doctor, a lawyer, you know, like anything, so you don't have to worry about. So like the ask isn't unreasonable for me, not knowing what I know now, but it comes back to like there is no example to provide of like who do you know is the Latina costumer who has excelled?
There's no fucking reference.
There is no reference for that. So like how can you as a parent reasonably explain? I mean you are you are her.
In theater, I mean there's one in film that's she's Puerto Rican, but she's in film. She's in a completely different world. But that's it. That comes to mind.
But you are her. You are the trail, and it is hard being a trailblazer when there is no path in front of you. You have to forge the path.
You can't Google it. You can't Reddit it.
You can't. Yeah, you can't Reddit. You can't Google none of that stuff.
I do Reddit like problems I come across.
But you mentioned Fuerza Bruta before, which brought me back to my hotel days, because I used to watch a lot of Broadway shows, working in hotels, getting free tickets, and
that shit was
sound is so important, and even costume and you know the whole attire, like it brings a lot to the production. But for some reason I always felt more comfortable and I enjoyed more of the off-Broadway shows like Fuerza Bruta and Blue Man Group. And
yeah, they are I mean, like, and nothing of it is definitely like just
you
one
like
of those
entertainment
tourists.
You don't care for culture. I'm just fucking
No, it's the opposite. Broadway is entertainment. That's commercial.
It is commercial.
The show I'm doing now, it's like there's some cringy things where I'm like, oh my god, if this transfers to Broadway, like fuck, my name's on this work, because there's no space for the artistry conversations like in the production you have. You're just there to like facilitate the producer's vision.
To do the thing, and like, and I'm not sure if you felt this, but like sometimes you are just a box to tick and be like, well, we've hired. Well, we did hire.
But sound is so important, which I learned through Ron through many years. And I read an article actually this morning, which is coincidentally, I didn't even put it together that you were here for sound, that's your background. And
my bad. I give nobody any updates.
He doesn't give he gives me an update like
I just
2 weeks, 2 weeks later.
Time.
Oh, so you're really truly getting me for the full experience.
No, Ron gives a little tidbit of a detail, but I usually tend to I don't listen to him.
That nigga does sound. No.
But this morning I woke up and it was coincidentally I saw an article of Tom Cruise, how they never give him credit for Rogue Nation Mission Impossible, where the last 20 minutes of the film it kept the sound kept almost sound like dum 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 dum, and it almost sound like every 5-6 minutes it was about to end and never did. And somebody said
cool.
in the screening of it, the test screening said it felt like it had like 5 different endings because it kept on dum 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 dum, and it was like, okay, we're finished. No, and then another scene popped up, and then Tom told the sound guy, can you make me a 20-minute
version
of this so we could prolong this scene that we're doing, where they have the guy, the bad guy, they put him in, they lock him in and they sort of reel him in and they get him.
I'm gonna
And
have to watch this part.
the test screening completely changed. Now they put it back to people, and people said it's a totally different film. Completely different film from the one you showed us before, because now that sound literally created that whole scene, and it's just totally different. I was like, damn, that's how important sound is.
It totally changed the landscape of anything, and the fact that I can take you wherever. I mean, you're doing it right now. You're doing it with all the sound effects right now. It changes the landscape of any environment.
Oh,
of
we're
what
not.
in.
We're not in this living room, and we're not in Washington. Heights.
Totally not. We are in a sound stage. This is where we are. But
and it's
There
Christmas,
are people clapping for us right now.
and it's Christmas, and it's snowing outside.
it's Christmas.
and then I'll do. And things are sad, and now I gotta work.
Es que señorita Laura no sabe.
But sound is highly important.
Thank you for saying that. I've always thought of it. It's like, at least in the live entertainment, you only know it's bad when it goes wrong. That's the only time where you notice it. So like, it's so important to be like, every component has to be like working to the T how it needs to be, because you will only notice it when it's wrong. But yeah, the collaboration of
I
that,
don't
like
think
how
we
we get
think it's when it's wrong. It's just when it's not there. You're like, sometimes missing, and then you got to tell people, yeah, you need a little extra.
Yeah, but even goes back to what he's saying. So when you have a hard-headed, like, what do you call it? What you said before, it was like a baby creation.
like
fucking
a creative baby.
It's like one of those baby creations where they don't allow no latitude, and they don't give you anything to work with. You can't say like, listen, this will be best. Like, if her mom will come in and be like,
And it's a little bit of like, I've been around. I've done a few shows enough to like to tell you, you think you want this, but it's not actually going to work. Well, I'm willing to try it, but I'm telling you, because of experience, it won't work. I'm happy to engage, but yeah, it takes a time to get there. I'm still on the fact that you got that validation from your mom. Like, that's huge. And it just comes back to like to finally be able to have an example. You are quite literally the example of that I've always wanted for myself. You are the example, and you have to move forward. I think it's so important to teach, so that people can know this is a feasible thing. And I think it is the bravest thing to do, is like to pursue what it is that you want to do wholeheartedly, fully. Because for me, it was always like, there's no plan B. I have to make this work, because this is the only thing. I mean, now it's like the only thing I know how to do, but boom. But it will work out.
Don't worry about it. You don't gotta drop the boom.
It has to work out.
listen, the man sounds.
It's like, I got you.
It comes out of me. And so the fact that I get surprised now, the fact that I can pay my bills over the things that I'm like, oh my God, and I was not in a position like this. Yeah, I can go on my vacation.
And take vacation, nigga, not only just get by.
I look back at my grandparents and thinking of like the like gigs out of like when I was in school and the first year out of undergrad. They probably looked at me and they were like, "Yo, this kid, I don't know what the fuck." Like, he's
Un caso perdido.
Yeah, I mean, and it just takes time of like I said madurar. It just, you have to give it time. You just have to give it time. And like, what's the thing of like having to like practice every day? It is us practicing that thing, and we're gonna get better at it each and every time. And so it's what you were talking about. Like, you're paying for the experience, not the tool of having to bang on the ship. You're paying for the experience of what I know where to bang on the ship. Yeah.
The knowledge, the awareness.
Yeah.
Like, yo, it's not, and I think there's something we overlooked. We're hitting the hour, over the hour mark. Not to take
I feel
away
like I
from,
haven't even gotten started.
yeah, no, I'm like, my fault. not to take away from the conversation, because for me, it's very reinvigorating and inspiring hearing brothers like us that are actually doing stuff that not only they love, that they came across the passion, that sparked the interest, but that also executed. Because you did mention earlier in passing that, you know, there are jobs we have to do to fucking pay the bills.
Mm-hmm.
And that thing, that happens in life. But you fought through that, and you are now on the other side again. Because sometimes we go back, and then we got to fight to be back right where we were, and then move forward even further. It's just challenging. But most importantly, you stayed the path. You consistency. That shit you dropped earlier about the que burn the bridges, but only so I could see further. Not an actual quote, but that shit was fire. I was like, wow, dopeness.
Like there's some people are scared of like, oh, who knows, like where I got I got let go. I got failed actually from an institution that I worked right after an undergrad. It was like this shitty place, like a summer stock, and I was set up to fail essentially. They fired me. They fired me because I was not doing quote what they had me to do.
Don't take away from that, because niggas being set up to fail is a fact.
It's a learning.
But I didn't know that at the time. At the time, I thought.
Oh, you thought it was like legit.
I was fired, and I thought that was the end of the world at that point. I don't need them at that point. Like I'm at this point where like. I'm not trying to be that girl, but like I have my Broadway show. I got to this point, like I'm able to do this thing, like, and I got them without them because that was an unhealthy environment that I did not benefit from. That they were asking for me to just do rather than be there and participate. They also definitely underpaid me and like asked me to do way more work, but that's a different thing. But it comes back to the thing of. That I do not need that place. That place is not. That was not for me, and none of the people there were for me. The people that are here for me, like the fact that we're able to foster this relationship, and truly, I've only met, like it started from like meeting on online and doing the online show.
We did a Zoom show together. The only Zoom show I did was with him.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I remember that.
Like I did not know that I would grow. Like, and I always liked you. I thought you like showed up, you showed out, like and. That took us to the next thing,
where we met in person, and we were so excited about meeting in person.
Yes, yeah, and
it's crazy that in a world where we know people, we're like, yo, when we actually finally get to meet them, we're like, oh, shit.
Well, it's because I felt like I knew you from the moment there. I was like,
we had like the Zoom, and it's that thing of we spent 2 weeks having to do that. Like there was a certain level of like, what do you call when you're
camaraderie?
No. Well, when you're trying to like get to know somebody or like break the
ice.
Yeah, we have broken some kind of ice as opposed to like trying to get to know each other. Like we were there, we did that. We were able to like just exist as people, and so I can like confidently say that like this relationship. Both professionally and like personally is something that I want to continue to fostering. Like
absolutely.
That is something that I care about because I recognize your worth as a person. I like the things that you do, and so that is like to believe in someone else. And so that is a bridge that I'm like
fucking talking to my bitch. Like what the fuck are we doing? Like I haven't even said this nice much shit. Like
it is a bridge. It is a bridge. It is a bridge that means a lot to me. And so like I think about. Everyone like that, and the institutions that I work for, the institution we worked for that we met, that is a bridge that I was like, I believe them as an institution. The people who work there, I believe in. That is somewhere that I would come back to happily and foster more relationships with them. Other institutions, other places are not that. Like I got my check and I left and I never emailed anybody back because fuck, whatever place. I'm not gonna say no names, but But fuck that, whatever that place was, because they weren't worth it. Also, or some people weren't worth it. Some people were just straight up mean. Like I have learned in the past year and a half that I have as much autonomy over what I'm giving my energy to, both like the jobs that I'm giving in, but what relationships I'm trying to foster. It's like plants. I love plants. Like I get to choose what I'm watering. I'm the one who gets to choose like. What I want to grow.
It's crazy because in my ignorance, I would think that everybody would water everything, but nah, that's not the case, man.
I can confidently say that I just don't give a fuck about some people. Like,
Yeah, same.
there are people I work with them.
Also,
and
you
that
can't
is-
water everything.
Yeah.
And that too. Yeah.
You know, you can't water everything. You need to put your energy where it's deserved, where it's needed, and you can't just say, "I'm gonna water everything." And you know, even your cousin said the other day, he goes, "You know, you the one who called me."
You know what? My bad. I didn't mean to cut you off. Last call for words. Let me transition off into that because before we go even further and dive deeper and go into like fucking episode 2.
But last words here from Monsieur Los. I mean, follow your dreams. No matter what your parents say, the adversity you might face at home, and you don't get no support from anybody.
It's pretty good.
Which, you know, we all go through it. I'm going through it right now, which I'm getting no validation from anybody. Everybody says you're doing a hobby, but it's okay. It's okay that it's a hobby. He said if you're not getting paid, it's a hobby, and it's all right with me.
I didn't say that. I was told that. But
Somebody told you that, you know, whatever the case is, but that hobby could turn into something else.
You're perfecting the
because
craft.
you're perfecting your craft. We're working on it, and I'm not being deterred by no one. And you know, just follow it, move it, you know, and eventually they're gonna eat those words,
Yeah.
and they're gonna come back to you and say, "I was wrong."
It's
keep
coming to
doing
an
it.
awareness, you know.
And you also get to define your own
That's what it is.
success.
Yeah.
Well, everybody's always blind by the conventional way of making a living, where you know, if you're not a doctor or whatever
Working
it
a 9
is,
to 5,
whatever it is, your
yeah.
vision of being successful, and you're not that, then they see you like you're a failure or through loco or doing something off the rails. You know, I'm starting to find myself now at 40.
Yo.
You know, so
There's no age that's like, and by this point you have to have found yourself, like, and it's just like your mom. You had just said your mom over like a course of a decade has come into her own person. You're also just allowed that.
no, absolutely.
There
you know,
is,
and
there is no marker.
there's no marker, there's no time, there's no say this is the deadline. Like if you don't do this at this point, you're screwed. Just follow it and go for it and don't look back.
You define your own success. You really do.
Absolutely.
Like hey,
That's
you-
Monsieur's last words.
you define your own success. Boom.
the wonderful, the lovely, honorable Lady H, what would be your last words? Considering that you're so close to the workflow and the whole process of it.
All right. You know what I love is what you shared today. Burn the bridges to light the way. And I love that because I gave
Gems.
myself permission this summer to, you know, not be scared. Don't be scared. There's no fear. So I can give myself permission to walk away from something that is not serving me.
And you, big points. It doesn't serve you.
Yeah.
You don't need that place.
No. Exactly.
They need you more than anything. Like, but this is a separate conversation.
But yes, burn the bridges to light the way. Thank you for sharing that, Herman.
Yeah.
Burn the bridges to light. My brother, Herman. Let these motherfuckers know that your name is Herman.
Hey yo. For sure. It's what is it? Last words, parting words,
Yes, last words.
last words.
I mean, because the show's called Just Words.
just words. Madurar. Right now. Madurar.
Wow. Okay.
That's my last word. And really, I didn't think
Madurar
for a non-Spanish speaking folk, I guess growth.
yes.
Growth,
That's
maturity.
exactly
Growth,
what I want.
maturity,
Maturity.
yeah.
Well, that would be the exact
Maturity,
definition.
it
Maturity.
is.
Yeah.
I mean, I would look stick more
But I
with
would
growth.
say, I would associate it more with growth.
Yeah.
But I think the verbatim of madurar is maturity.
I didn't.
Like,
I didn't think that young me.
and how old are you right now?
I'm 20. How
Oh
old do
my
I look?
God.
Okay, no, I'm 20. I'm 26. I'm 26.
I was gonna say.
I forget you're
I was,
so young.
I was gonna say
Child.
22.
Yeah, oh,
un bebé. Es un niño. Él no sabe lo que él está haciendo.
so struggling
We
with my
Dominican
taxes last
say,
year.
"Mírate, ñarro."
No, madurar for sure, and it's growth. I didn't think that young me would have thought that I would have gotten to this point, and it's allowing.
What was Young You, by the way?
Oh my God, young me.
Yeah.
Young me didn't know where he was going to. He didn't have any passions. He just was
I'm going to call my child Young Me.
young me. I mean, technically.
Not with you, with the Asian lady that I married later.
Oh my God, Filipino.
Don't worry
Way
about it.
to- way
Because
to
I saw you
circle
like the
back.
name. I'm like,
Way to circle back.
just joking.
Young me, he didn't have the aspirations. He didn't know what he was going to. He was a fucking troublemaker, and he liked what's the like recent TikTok? Me gusta el madreo, me gusta el desmadre, me gusta Nurka Marcos. No,
So proud
my
of
God.
This is where I realize we have an age disconnect because I do not.
Hold on.
I have TikTok, but
Oh, you have TikTok?
I have the TikTok.
The TikTok.
But
don't
I
do that
do not
to the,
actually use
the queen
it.
Nurka Marcos, like Latina icon. But there's like a video of her like maybe 10 years ago. Going, she's like, a mí me gusta el desmadre, me gusta el bochinchero, me gusta like, and I was like, honestly, that was young me, like, I was,
Bochinchero is gossiper.
The
No?
gospel,
yeah, like
Chimoso.
honest-
That's to us. Chimoso to us.
el desmadre, el perreo,
El
like
perreo.
young me, and I still love all that stuff, but
You like that toxicity shit.
young me was very lost, respectfully was very lost, and he didn't have anything to like put his attention to, and he didn't think that there would be a place for him. And for anybody who is listening, I would say like give yourself time, like so long you're like you are like an arrow, give yourself time, like you will move forward and you'll get there. Madurar.
Last words from the great Ron Kane.
I'm conflicted between the ideology of allocation of time and the realities of who we are. The realities of who we are: impoverished people, lack communication skills, lack the awareness, the language. And then the ones that do want to have hope and want to have growth and dreams. And I'm not talking about just the arts, because it goes beyond that. I mean, dudes want to be doctors, even if dudes want to be police officers, whoever. I mean, whatever civil servant jobs or even government jobs. Well, all them niggas is crooks though. But anything.
Not the ops. Not the ops.
But the thing is that we've always been introduced into the produce now moment. I mean, I'm not speaking for everyone, but in my immediate factor. And so time and the spectrum of space of, I see it all the time with, I see it quite frequently with the young ladies that have lived a whole life. They have the 2 children and they fucking rocked out. And now they're nurses. They're always nurses. No, just
Oh my God.
shots. And they switched up their lives. Time for the brothers that I've known and I've seen that have overcome obstacles and challenges of getting kicked out of their homes from their mothers, their girls, or whoever, and trying to figure it out and go from room to room and space to space. Because this is all fucking space. And time, just accepting and having full awareness of who you are, whether it's sexuality, whether it's identity, whether it's who you want. Matter of fact, the other day I had a friend of mine tell me, a female friend of mine tell me how she's no longer dating Latino men because of for whatever reason, and now she's going
What
to
a tragedy
white
for
men.
her.
Yeah,
Right?
like just but all these things, and she's young person. I'm like, but time. I conflict with time because we don't allow ourselves that. But however, I want to remove but. However, flipping it and recognizing the upside potential of growth and choosing to do what you can believe in and what you do believe in has so much upside potential. But rather than allowing yourself the time, allow yourself the space. And actually make sure that you go for it. Give yourself the space. Believe in yourself. Be your best cheerleader. Because if you don't believe in yourself, who the fuck will? The reality is that in our culture, we don't have batteries in our backpack. Our niggas don't look after us. I mean, when I talk about if Abuelita only has our best beliefs in us changing HDMI 3 to HDMI 1, it should be symbolic to that. But it should also be reinvigorating to the fact that you should be your best cheerleader. And what I've recognized from at least our conversation and honestly quite a few other conversations, and what brings it back 360 full circle, is that the ones that have accomplished are the ones that believe within themselves. And it sounds kind of fucking cliche, but I think my last words are, be your best cheerleader. And just celebrate yourself every day and do as you see fit, and enjoy what you do and love and pursue it and go after it. So I hope that gets kind of somewhat of an approval, but we'll keep it rocking. I'm gonna give myself an approval. And I know we went on several tangents on this episode, but time. That's just words. Nobody cares.
That's just word.
We had German. I would love to have you back on, and
consider me down. I'm so happy.
And because I want, it's also a social study. I do want to see how much people have propelled themselves since the first time we had them on as guests.
I will be the mayor of New Jersey. That's my next goal.
Just bring the key with you to the city.
Monsieur Lowe's, thank you very much for coming on deck.
Wait, you have to give him his play out.
You want me to give him a play out?
I loved his play out.
You love the play out with the "Como se va?"
Yes, I loved it.
The wonderful, the always spectacular and phenomenal Lady H, thank you very much.
Love being here as always.
Queen.
The fantabulous, the fantastic German.
Gracias.
Sound designer German.
Hey.
I feel like you didn't do justice by his intro, but I'm going to go with it.
Yes, she did.
Yes, she did.
We vibe,
my name is Ron Kane. This is Just Words. Nobody cares. And we're out. I love you all, though.
I love you.
Yeah.